Welcome to Roots and Peaks. Today we're going to talk about mental health while I climb a mountain. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than our average video. So if you're just here for hiking videos, maybe check this one out, or it might be on the other side of the screen. As I was driving up to the trailhead this morning, I was thinking about what kind of video to create today. And I realized that I wasn't feeling quite as good as normal. I was a little sad, one might even say depressed, and I thought that that was worth a conversation with you guys. And really, is there a better place to have a difficult, slightly embarrassing conversation than while walking in the woods? And to set the stage, I'm hiking up a slide trail today up North Tri-Pyramid in New Hampshire. Man, getting all these God rays, I think that's what people call them. It certainly is beautiful this morning. Before we get too far into it, I think it's really important that we discuss who this video is for. I believe this video is for anybody who's feeling sadness, anxiety, depression, any of those things, regardless of if you're young, old, male, female, no matter your race. Everybody feels, no matter who you are, and sometimes those feelings include sadness, depression, and anxiety. You may not be able to tell, but I'm a male, middle-aged white guy. If you don't feel seen while watching this video, don't worry. There's someone exactly like you that's feeling the same way. I can only talk to you from my perspective, so I figure it's important for you to know at least a little bit about me as you're listening. I'm hugely lucky. I grew up in New Hampshire, which is just an absolutely beautiful state, with parents who love me, who treat me well. I feel like I have about every privilege that's been afforded to anybody in this entire world. And I'm not saying that to brag in any way. I'm saying that to set the stage. Because even with all those privileges, I feel depressed. Even though I'm allowed to take this amazing walk through nature, I mean, just look at this. I feel sad. And I think as a society, we're taught to feel like that's dumb. You have everything. You shouldn't feel sad. You're not allowed to feel sad. And I get that. I mean, I feel stupid saying I'm sad. I'm embarrassed. This is not an easy video for me to record. I feel, even though I'm alone and talking to a camera, I feel like an absolute idiot for being depressed and sad. After all, there's always someone worse off than you, right? I don't know you, so maybe that's not true, but for me, it certainly is. Look, your feelings are your feelings. Nobody can take those away from you, nor should they. So if you're feeling that way and you pretend that you aren't, that isn't okay. And anybody who makes you feel bad for feeling a certain way is probably feeling bad themselves. That's something that having kids has really taught me. And I'm in no way implying that you shouldn't try to feel better or that you shouldn't fake it till you make it. But if you internally pretend that you aren't feeling depressed or anxious, you can't seek the help that you need. And if you can't seek the help that you need, you could be in a lot of trouble. All I'm saying is, however you feel is how you feel. It's okay. Now it's time to figure out how to deal with it. And that's true even for us men who have probably been told our whole lives that we shouldn't look weak, that we shouldn't be depressed, we shouldn't be sad, we should just shut up and take it like a man. What a stupid and hurtful saying that is. When we don't deal with our stuff, it can eat us up from the inside out. For the last couple weeks, my wife and I had been planning on hiking Huntington Ravine today, which is, by all accounts, the hardest hike in New Hampshire. I was really excited about that, but my wife wasn't able to join me today, so I made an audible and decided to hike North Tri-Pyramid Slide, which by some accounts is the second hardest trail in New Hampshire, but only once we get to the slide. This part is really easy. Why I'm telling you that is the change of plans somehow threw me off my game a little bit. So yesterday I started getting anxious about what I was gonna do and what this hike would look like. If you don't struggle with anxiety, that probably doesn't make any sense. It sounds like I'm whining, but it was almost debilitating It was really hard for me to make any decisions. I started getting really flustered and fidgety. Unfortunately, I don't have too many tips and tricks on how to overcome anxiety other than just time and maybe being quiet with yourself. Although I know that doesn't work for everyone. What I do have more advice on is depression, because when I woke up this morning, other than being anxious yesterday, I then felt pretty depressed. I didn't want to get out of bed. I told myself it was because I was overly tired. I told myself that I had picked the wrong hike. I used lots of excuses. Some of those excuses probably were valid, but they were excuses nonetheless. I can tell you what worked for me this morning as I woke up and was feeling sorry for myself and sad. I decided to push through. I allowed myself to feel the way I was feeling, and also told myself logically, you need to keep going. It's okay that you're feeling sad. Go ahead and cry. Open the windows. Let some air in as you're driving. Cry. Get it out. Giving yourself permission to feel the way you feel, but also taking a moment to think logically about what it is you really need or want, not what the emotion is telling you you need or want. So in the midst of feeling emotional and illogical, trying to bring some logic into it really helped me. It's a lot easier said than done though. I am not a doctor. I am not a medical expert. If you're feeling these ways and you're not able to help yourself, please seek someone out. I've worked with a therapist in the past. It was a really, really great experience for me. It gave me a lot of tools that I needed to make it through. Probably one of the only reasons that I know how important it is to let yourself express your emotions and feelings. And the therapist that I worked with was very tools oriented. So she gave me a lot of ways to express what I was feeling without having to tell a big story or to talk about it with someone else. And that was important for me. For other people, I know that talk therapy is really important, telling the story, getting it out there. One of the most valuable things that I worked with my therapist on was not succumbing to first instincts. And what I'm about to tell you is truly horrifying and embarrassing for me, but I have a pretty massive problem with anger. My initial response to a lot of things is that I get angry, and I really needed to help subdue that or eliminate it if possible. That's something that I absolutely could not have done without therapy, and it is certainly a work in progress. I still am angry from time to time, but it is substantially diminished, and that's because I was able to put myself out there and work with a therapist. Now, if you're living under the mantra of man up, or be a man, or shut up and do it, you're probably not going to be willing to go and see a therapist. So get rid of those statements if you can. If you're not ready to work with a therapist, that's okay too. Another piece of advice I can give you is make sure that you're getting outside, getting enough interaction with nature. Even if it's just sitting in your yard or on a balcony, having the sun touch your body and getting a little bit of vitamin D never hurt anybody. I mean, minus that pesky skin cancer stuff, which you should probably wear some zinc or sunscreen for. So the sun coming through these trees is absolutely beautiful. And if you can imagine the sun, that beautiful sun landing on your skin, you have all of this skin covering your body. And that sun makes its way in. It's what gives everything on this planet life. And I know this sounds super new agey. Maybe you're writing in the comments, what are you talking about? Don't worry, not important to the video. That sun gives you vitamin D, which is really important for you. Helps your dopamine levels. And if we're sitting inside watching a screen on her phone, on the TV, at a desk for work, we're probably not getting as much vitamin D as we need. Now we're gonna get to the real hiking. We're gonna do the Tri-Pyramid North peak up the slide. We're gonna go down this thing and over and across and then whoop, all the way up. Now we're in the actual hike part, no longer on a road. And it rained a little yesterday, which makes me slightly nervous because you're not really supposed to do this trail when it's wet. I'd hoped that most of it would dry off by today, but it's pretty wet, so we'll see what the slide looks like. I may have to turn around, which would be a bummer, but we can talk about that later. Actually, forget that. Let's talk about failure now. There's nothing wrong with rushing through a trail like this to try to get to the top and to bag a peak. Goals are really good. Goals give us something to look forward to, something to strive for. But there's a problem when you put goals alongside depression, especially if you're creating unattainable goals, or in the potential problem of this trail, unsafe goals. Inevitably, you're going to create a goal that you cannot achieve. It's just part of being a human. When you can't achieve that goal, you're gonna feel like you failed, because for all intents and purposes, you failed achieving that goal. If you're already feeling depressed, or if that brings depression on, it can create a really big problem, because now you feel like a failure. Not like you failed the goal. You feel as if you as a person are a failure. At that moment of depression, you can't remember that you had the opportunity to have about 1 million other successes on your way to that one goal failure. The other thing you can't remember in that moment is that failing can actually be a win in and of itself, as long as you're learning from that failure. So then you're stuck in this weird loop of depression. You set a goal. It was too hard for you to accomplish. You failed that goal. You also failed at setting reasonable expectations and goals. You must be a failure. Of course you're not a failure. You failed. You're not a failure. But nobody can tell you otherwise. And that's really sad. So now you feel sad and depressed, maybe even a little anxious about your next choice. So if you do fail, how do you overcome those feelings? It's going to be different for everybody, but for me, it really comes back to feeling those feelings and then thinking about the reality of the situation. Ask yourself, what did I actually fail? Was that thing that I failed really important? Was there a reason that I'm feeling so down about it? Was there life and death stakes? Or did I just miss a goal? And sometimes the answer is going to be, yeah, it was really that important. But more often than not, it's not that important, or it's something that we can try again. And if you're able to think about it logically like that, it'll help. Will it cure your depression and sadness and anxiety? No, it won't. But it may help you get back on track and try again, set another goal. It may also help you realize that you need a little bit of a break, because this trail just got really steep and you want a break. There's an interesting metaphor in this hike, because right now I'm stationary and it's going to be really hard to move up, but it would be very easy, too easy to move down and be completely out of control. All I'd have to do is kind of let go and let gravity do its things. But to go up there, I'm going to have to climb and handhold, use my hands, use my feet, and climb up there, and it's going to be a lot harder. But the quicker I go, the more confident I get in my footsteps and handholds, the faster I'm going to make it up there, the less energy I'm actually going to use, as opposed to stopping, taking my time. And depression can be a lot like that. Once you stand still, it's hard to get going again. If you let gravity take over, which is depression, it's going to put you farther down. So you really have to work against it. Yeah, that's my metaphor for today. Made it to the top of the slide. Beautiful day. After hiking up this steep Mama Jamma, is my depression and sadness and anxiety cured? No, it's not. It's something I'm gonna have to live with for the rest of my life. It's just part of what's in my brain. It's part of me. And can I make it better? Sure. I can make it up this hill and I can keep pushing on. Can I make it easier? Yeah, I can, through things like therapy, or if I need it, medication, getting outside, getting in the sun. Is it okay to be depressed? Yeah, it is. I don't know if this message is finding you, or maybe you could share it with someone that you think needs it. And if you're going through the same thing, leave a comment down below. So by all accounts, I just made it through the hardest part of that trail. If you are feeling like you're in trouble, if you're feeling like you need help, seek it, go get it. There's no shame in that. And try to remember those things that you loved when you weren't depressed or sad or anxious or angry. Those things most likely still exist. You can find them again, you can reconnect. With me, it's hiking, it's being outdoors, it's being active. And I've certainly reconnected with those things over the last few years. And it's made a big difference. It doesn't mean that I don't backslide. It doesn't mean that there aren't moments where I have severe cases of panic or dread or sadness or depression. It's okay. Man, this has probably been a long, bizarre video. If you've made it this far, I just want to say thank you, because I know it's not like my usual videos, and maybe you know someone that would like to see this, or that this could possibly help. Send it their way. Also, as always, if you find the content interesting or useful, please subscribe, give it a like, helps a ton. And if you don't, that's okay too. No problem there. If you have ideas for how I could do this video better, or videos like this better, or even if you just want to tell me that you don't want to see me talk about things like mental health, you'd rather see me hike or talk about gear, that's fine. Leave a comment. I read them all, and I try to get back to as many of them as I can. I summited North Tri-Pyramid. I'm on my way to Middle, and then to South, and then I'm going to go down. Unless there's something really amazing to see, I'm going to spare you that part and just make this the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.